Newsshooter coverage of NAB 2024 is sponsored by Atomos, B&H Photo Video, and Atlas Lens Co.
Hi, it's Matt here for Newsshooter.com at NAB 2024. I'm with Paul at the Canon booth. Now, this is your new broadcast 2/3 inch lens. Now, what's amazing about this is not only its size, but its focal range.
Right, well, the zoom power on this is 27, which traditionally a 27 times zoom has been resolved only for the large studio 27 by like we have over there. And with the range itself, it starts at 7.3. It's a 27 times 7.3 millimeters. So that's a little bit wider than you would normally have in one of these, let's call it average medium range. Obviously with the 27 times, that makes it a little more than average, but it's also a little bit wider because if you were to compare it to say the 25 by 7.6, that's a 7.6, and that's another UHD XS lens, our top level of handheld optics, that's in a very kind of similar range for very similar use in sports, news, and studio applications.
I guess the slight caveat of having that wider focal range is that you're going to have a bit more of the weight up the front of the lens.
There's really not a lot of difference in the weight of this lens compared to the 25. I think the exact difference is only a little over an ounce, like an ounce and a half or something. I know it's 0.2 pounds, whatever that actually works out to in terms of ounces. So you're really not giving up too much ergonomically. It's almost unnoticeable.
An extender built in, obviously, macro.
Yeah, it's got all the things that you're accustomed to on your regular CJ XS series lenses. It's got a 2x extender. It does have your macro focusing ring here. New thing though, this is a brand new drive unit. So this is the version 5 drive unit. Few things, operationally it's not going to be much different, but in terms of building up, say, with a teleprompter in a studio, or if this drive unit were eventually to make it onto wider lenses, currently it's only shipping on this lens. It has redirected positioning for the 20-pin Hiroshi connectors. So one faces towards the back. So when you have all these other pieces that might be impeding on that, it makes for the build process to be a lot easier. We also moved the screen for the drive unit menu to the top, made the drive unit menu much easier to navigate. And there's a USB-C port now on the drive unit. You could do a couple of things with that, save some settings, save your service history. The biggest thing though is now the end user can update the firmware on the drive unit themselves, so they don't actually have to send it in for service, which is the way that it previously had to be handled.
Is there any form of breathing compensation or anything with this in this lens?
I am very glad you asked that. That's probably one of the best new features that we have, and it is menu driven, and there is something called focus breathing compensation. Similar to the system that we have in the box lenses called CAFs, which is a constant angle focusing system. This uses different technology, so it's not the same system. This is focus breathing compensation. But when you are doing a rack focus and you do see that micro zoom that creates a little bit of distortion, this now has lens elements that are going to optically compensate for that and keep you with a rock solid image that doesn't distort when you're changing focus.
So essentially what it's doing is it's doing a little bit of a zoom to compensate when you're doing the focus rack.
That's pretty much exactly how it works, because essentially what you're doing when you're changing the focusing, you do sort of change where the magnification is inside the entire lens ecosystem. So you put in a little bit of sensor technology to know what pieces have to move, and you make them move along with it, and it looks like everything stayed in the same place.
In terms of pricing and availability?
Sure. So the list price for it is around $46,000, and availability should begin in August.